Someone's awake. Okay, so we're getting more used to filming when people are awake. Can you hear the creaky creaky upstairs? Stop. Take a breath. Maybe a sip of water. I do want to thank all my new viewers, because I do have, since last month when I last posted, I do have some new viewers. So thank you so much for subscribing, because, well, I might have more new viewers, but I have definitely more subscribers. So thanks you guys for watching and joining. Hopefully you're enjoying this and you continue to enjoy it. And I want to thank my existing viewers, you guys who have been with me for a while now. You've seen the evolution of this podcast. Get ready for some more stuff, because there's more things happening. And where can you find me? I am mostly on Instagram as The Purled Nest. That's where I'm most active, and I post most of my projects and things like that. I don't get too political, maybe a little bit political, but that's where I'm most active. I am on Ravelry as specialkholla, specialkholla. And I'm not super good about putting my projects on there. I will own that. I mean, I like it, and I love to get patterns from it and ideas, but I'm not the best about putting my projects on there. Anyway, so you can find me there. And you can also email me at thepurlednest@gmail.com. So if you ever have a question, you have a suggestion, you, I don't know, burning issues you want to discuss, I don't know, whatever it is, you can reach me at thepurlednest@gmail.com. That's PURLED, by the way, just like the podcast. Okay, so let's start with what I'm wearing. It's not a fave, I have to say. There are a lot of people who really love this cardigan, and there's a couple reasons why I'm not a huge fan of this. And I don't know that it's so much the pattern, although there is a little piece of it that is the pattern. I think some of it might be my yarn choice. So this yarn is a natural undyed yarn, and it is merino wool, silk, and mohair. And I got this, and you can see the pilling that's happening quite a bit on there. See that? It's from dyersupplier.com, and they have actually just halted their like bulk orders of the undyed yarn for yarn dyers, and they're focusing on the knit crate side of things. So they actually own knit crate too, or whoever owns Dyer Supplier also owns knit crate. Anyway, they're going to focus more on that right now. I think supply chain has been a big issue for them, and they just want to put a little pause on that for a little bit. So they do have a great sale going on. This, I should say, by the way, that today is April 16th, day after tax day in the US, 2022. And so right now they have like a 40% off or something sale. I did log in, and they were pretty low on a lot of their yarns. I think people were snapping them up as soon as they heard this. It's one of the suppliers that yarn dyers, indie yarn dyers, regularly use. So I think there's a little bit of a panic setting in, panic buying, and there wasn't much left when I went on, you know, thinking I'd get a couple like bulk bags of their yarn. There really wasn't anything left that I wanted, so I didn't buy any. But this yarn, I think maybe because it has silk in it, it's a little heavier, and so it pulls down. Oh, sorry, I hope you didn't hear that. It kind of weighs it down a little bit. It gives it really nice drape. You know, I'll put in a little twirl video or something in here. Maybe right here, I don't know. We'll put a twirl video in or something like that so that you can see what it looks like. But I think, honestly, I feel like there's a lot of reasons actually why I don't wear this, and I wish I did. It sheds a lot, and really that is probably one of my biggest reasons for not wearing it, is it sheds a lot. It has mohair in it, and the yarn is, I don't think I have any ends I haven't woven in, or else I would show them to you. The yarn is not, I think it's woolen spun, not worsted spun. It's not tightly twisted, so it doesn't catch the mohair very easily or very tightly. And so every time I take it off, like right now, you probably can't see it on the camera, but like every time I take it off, it's like hair everywhere. Gets in my face, gets in my lip gloss, gets everywhere. And you know, when I really want to wear it is at work, over top of a dress, or you know, with a pair of slacks or something like that. And there are times when it gets too warm in the office and I want to take it off. Well, I can't, because as soon as I take it off, like my clothes are covered with mohair, and I would have to probably go into the bathroom and use a lint roller to try and get most of it off. But it sheds so much that it's not worth it. Honestly, not worth it. It also doesn't fit super well, and that's a function, I think, of two things. I think it's from the yarn itself, which is because it's wool, mohair, and silk, it's a little heavier, and it tends to pull it down. It pulls down on it. I don't know if I can get that in the camera a little better. It kind of pulls down on it, and so it kind of pulls it on my neck. If I'm going to make a sweater, I like a fairly close fitting neck. I'm making a sweater because it's going to keep me toasty, at least this type of yarn. And because the sweater, I'm pretty sure, as I recall, it has short rows back here in the back of the neck. I don't think there's enough of them, because what happens is my neck gets cold and I pull it up a little bit like this, and now look at the raglans. Look at what's happening. Like they're pulling forward. But see, here's the other thing. So see these buttons? So I made this during the pandemic, and you couldn't just go into Joann Fabrics at the time. You actually had to order online, and then so you had to look at everything online, and hopefully they had what you needed at the local Joann's, because I don't think they were getting replenished very much either. That was another thing during the time I made this. And they, so you had to look at them online and make your choice, and hopefully you made the right choice. And that includes size and everything. And then they did curbside pickup. You know how ridiculous it seems to do curbside pickup for like a little pack of 3 or 6 buttons that are going to cost like $3 each, maybe a little bit more. It just didn't make much sense. So I went on to Etsy, and I thought, oh, I'm going to find the best. I'm going to find like the coolest, like artisan buttons. I was really disappointed. It seems like there are a lot of like button wholesalers or something that just like are throwing their stuff on Etsy so that they can make you think it's special and artisan. And I think it is, and I like these buttons, but I don't think I like them for this sweater. So these buttons are really cute. They are coconut. Focus. So they're coconut, and they have like a little flower design etched into them. Like it looks like they're laser etched, and they're pretty, but they don't give the sweater the feel I'm looking for. I was looking for something that I could wear either casually with jeans like now, or I could wear, look at this, just the neck, it's too fuzzy. And so what I really wanted was something that I could also wear to work. And I think the coconut buttons make it just look too kind of, I don't know, organic and casual. And what I was looking for was something a little more classy that I could wear for work with dresses and things like that. And I wear more tailored dresses. I don't typically wear like flower dresses, boho style. That's not my style. So I think what I need to do is change maybe change the buttons to something that's perhaps like, you know, those clear crystal or glass ones, like got a little sparkle to them, just natural sparkle just from, you know, being glass. I might do something like that. I don't know. I was really hoping to find something in a color, actually, like a glass button in a color that was fairly simple to give it a little bit of a pop color. But I don't know what I'm going to do. So I'm not super thrilled with it. I just don't like how much I have to fuss with it to make it look like it feels, or make it look like it's not falling off me and like is somebody else's sweater that I borrowed, because that's kind of what it looks like. Okay, so let's talk about finished objects. I have one finished object in 1 month's time, and that's partly because I was focusing on the classes that I was teaching. I was teaching 2 at a time socks again, cast on ready to go, and I cast on with them, and I made shorties so that I knew I would have time, because I mentioned the JOB, right? So I don't have time to knit all day. Hi, buddy. So what I did was I used the socks that I'm designing. Do you remember that? I said I'm designing a pair of socks. So here they are. I'm not showing you the side that has the design on it because I haven't released it yet. I probably will be knitting that up this month, like probably not April, maybe May, and then I will see if I can get some test knitters to test it and then put it on Ravelry. I'm not sure if I'll make it a low price paid pattern because it's my first one, so I don't know if I'm gonna just do this as a free pattern or if I will charge for this one. We shall see. But anyway, here they are. And this is in Hue Loco Phyllis sock base, and I don't remember the color. I can maybe put it on the screen here. I don't remember what color this was, but this is one of my favorite yarns for knitting socks for a couple reasons. It is very durable, so I think it's I don't have the tag with me somewhere. I think it's 75/25 merino, superwash merino nylon, and it wears well. It washes well, it wears well, it doesn't pill a lot. It is, like my husband has some of the maybe the most recent socks I've made for him over the last couple years, and they wear super well. Like, they don't wear out in the heel, and he's hard on heels. They don't wear out in the heel, they're not getting thin, they wash well, and they stay looking good. And part of that is because I block them every time I wash them, then put them right on my Brycraft, those wire blockers, and let them dry. I don't put them in the dryer. Sometimes they accidentally get in there, but for the most part, I don't put them in the dryer. So these are the 64 stitch ones, and I did also a 72. So there'll be 2 sizes right now, but it might be fun as a family sock actually, because when you see the design, you'll be like, oh yeah, that's totally a family sock. So it's something everybody in the family can wear, very wearable, but enough of a style to, a sporty style to be something that everybody in the family would probably like to wear. So not just like a lace design for women, not just like a rib design or whatever, you know, a masculine design sock. I don't know. This is like a sporty design, and it would work for kids, women, men. It really doesn't matter. And the beauty of these wool socks in the summertime is that they wick away moisture. So your feet will feel nice and comfy in the summertime. So those are my only finished object, because I cast on with everybody. I did the leg, and then I did the heel with everybody, and then we went down and did the foot. So that's my only finished object. But I do have a bunch of whips. So for whips, 4 whips? I think I have 4 whips. You know, I used to be a monogamous knitter, but not anymore. So let's start with first my Steeking project. So I was going to be teaching a class in Steeking at the end of May at my local yarn shop, and I had a couple things happen. One, we have some things going on with our house, some property issues that we are trying to resolve with the county as far as property lines, and we're doing an addition to the house, so there's some hoops the county's making us jump through first. And this is several years in the making, like 5 years in the making. So ended up that the hearing for our variants is actually going to be on the day of the first class. I was not super sad about that. Now I have to go to that. As a property owner, I actually have to go to it. But I'm not super sad that the class is getting canceled, postponed probably, because I feel like I need more experience with Steeking before I can teach this class, because people are going to have questions. And while the class is on this really cute little coffee cozy, this is the Steek This coffee cozy pattern, and it's really cute. I only did 4 colors. It's actually written for 5 colors, but I only did 4 colors because buying 5 things of shelter yarn, that was a little pricey. So I'm probably going to actually sell some of these, maybe not on Etsy, maybe just through Instagram or something, I don't know. But I feel like, and I've made this one, and I've shown this before, and this one, there's my floats, there's my steeks, and my picked up for my ribbing. And then there's another one that I finished that I haven't steeked yet. And there's another one I finished. I don't think I showed this one that I haven't steeked yet. This is actually, I think, my favorite. I love the red color. I could see where the 5th color of yarn would kind of make it a little more interesting. And I am actually just started on another black one because I'm kind of trying to go cycle through the colors so that I use up all the yarn evenly. And I have like a bunch of yarn left. See, I mean, I can make a lot of these. So I'll probably get bored with them before too long, but I thought even if it's just these samples that I'm making up for the class and for practicing on, then I'll have enough of them. I don't need this many coffee cozies, so I'll sell them. I am using Brooklyn Tweed Shelter, and Brooklyn Tweed Shelter is a worsted weight. It is, oh, I didn't know this. It's actually Wyoming wool. I'm in Colorado. I'm actually just south of Cheyenne and Laramie. And so it's from Johnson County in Wyoming. It is spun in Harrisville, New Hampshire. It is dyed in Philadelphia. This wool gets around. It is a woolen spun yarn, so it's much more rustic. It doesn't feel like much actually on the skein. It's not my favorite yarn on the skein. It's not one I would normally gravitate towards, but for a finished product, it actually makes a really nice, what feels like really nice, would be a really nice like outerwear sweater. If you were to need something like this as a, like to throw on in maybe, I mean, even in the winter, it would be very cozy. And it's just not super soft. It's a little more stiff. And although this one has been washed and blocked, and it's softer. So I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of it, but it definitely works for this project. So that is one whip. I probably will consider doing maybe a cardigan before I think about teaching that class. I just want to be ready. People are going to have questions. I want to have the answers. I don't want to be like, oh, I don't know how to do that. I only do coffee cozies. So we're going to maybe push this off. Maybe next year I'll do it. Next whip is socks, of course, because I always have socks. And voila, I actually have done half of the heel on this one. Did that during my lunch break yesterday at work. So this wool is, let's see, shoppa wool. You see that? There we go. That's a little better. And it is from Germany, I believe. Yes. No. Yes? No. I actually can't read I don't know what language it is. So, oh yeah. Did you see that? Made in Germany. So, shoppa wool, made in Germany. I believe the type, like the base is Wunderklecks. And I think the name of the color is Zauberball. I'm not really sure. or maybe color 2140. I got this when I went to Montana almost 2 years ago now. I went to Whitefish and we stayed up in Eureka, and there's a little yarn shop in Eureka, Montana, way up near the Canadian border and that's where we stayed. And they had I was amazed, they actually had a yarn shop there. And I went in there and I was like, oh, this is kind of cool. And she had mostly like major or factory made yarns, not really indie dyed yarns, not a lot of even local spun yarn from local sheep or anything like that. It was pretty much factory yarns. And so this yarn looks like this, and it actually comes in a ball. So what I found out is this yarn, and see how it's kind of ripply, like it looks like something you frogged and then rolled up in a ball. You can even see it, like, see that? See how it looks like it's something that's been frogged? So what I found, and I haven't, I mean, this is how you get it. Although I did wind it into 2 separate balls. It comes in one big ball, and I wound it into 2 separate balls. So from what I found out, it actually is, maybe with a machine, it's knitted into like sock blanks, and then they apply the colors, the dye to it. So they do these natural or undyed knitted pieces, and I'm not sure what gauge they do it in or anything, but they do these undyed pieces, and then they put the dye on. So what they do is they unravel it, and when they unravel it, you know, it looks like this. It looks like something that's been unraveled. You see? And it's a little, it says it's, and this is just me trying to read the label, but it says it's virgin wool and polyamide, which I think is just actually nylon. Virgin wool, superwash, and yes, polyamide is nylon. So it's 75/25, and it doesn't say what kind of wool, and it doesn't seem to be merino because it's not super soft. It's actually what seems like it would be slightly scratchy, but in the finished sock, actually doesn't feel too bad. Like when I put it on my wrist, maybe a little bit scratchy. I don't know. I think what's gonna happen is when I wash them or block them for the first time and do them in some wool soak, some kind of wool wash, I think they might soften up a little bit. And I don't know if yarn is going to stretch a little more or shrink up a little more. I've never used it before, so I don't really know what it's gonna do. So we shall find out, but the colors are pretty cool, right? Like that looks pretty cool. And these are shorty socks. These are just plain vanilla shorty socks on size 1 needles, magic loop, 2 at a time, like I always do. And what else? On heels right now, and oh, I got some other yarn stuck to it. But I'm liking how they're looking. They're pretty cool. They are shorties, like I said. And it knits up fun on the heel because, you know, this is knitting around and around and around, and the heel is just these short rows back and forth. So it'll give a little bit of interest on the heel. Anyway, so I always have socks on the needles, and there you go. There's a pair of socks. I also, by the way, I am loving little pouches. Can I tell you this? I like this. I got this when I went to our company conference. I got this, and it's just like a little cotton pouch with a zip top, and I love it. It's just, I mean, it's super cute too, but it's so perfect for socks. And then this one I got from a good friend, and this one, another zip top pouch. This one's a canvas, a cotton canvas. It's pretty dense. And in here is my next whip. As always, I have my little crochet squares going. I kind of put these on the shelf for a little while and wasn't really working on them for a while because I was working on my sock design and I had to do a few of those. Was also working on the knitting I had to do for class. Excuse me. And so this is the one I've been working on most recently. Kind of blah colors, but they'll fit in well in my scrappy blanket. They will have a place in my scrappy blanket. So I'm working on those. Those are literally just double crochets all the way around with some corners. And then, yes, the last one. Back to the notes. Stay on task here, Kathleen. Already talked about the steeking. I've already gone out of order. And okay, so the last project that I'm working on that I'm super like loving and excited. I'm loving it, I'm excited about it, but at the same time, there's a learning curve here, and I am having to be much more gentle and delicate than I usually am in my knitting. So what I'm making is rustle, rustle, crinkle, crinkle. I'll show you a picture of what I'm making. And I'll actually put it on the screen, and I'll put it in the notes. Wait for it. It's pronounced like circle. It's Celtic, I believe. And it is, and I'll maybe see if I can put some other pictures up here of other people who have knit this and the ways you can wear it. So the name of the gal who inspired me to do this. So, you know, I'm just like scrolling Instagram as one does, getting ideas. And I came across, and I was looking at things knitted up with Nutidin yarn. And so this is actually knit with Nutidin yarn. And I'll show you more in a sec. But I have that saved as a hashtag that I follow in Instagram, Nutidin yarn. I think that's how you pronounce it, Nutidin or Nutidin, not sure. Anyway, I was looking at what people had knit up with it. Specifically, I was hoping to find something in the same colorway that I have, which is called Ljus, I believe, which means light in Swedish, I'm pretty sure. And I wanted to see what other people had knitted up in it. And I came across this gal's Instagram account just from the one thing she posted that she had knitted in the Nutidin. And I was like, what? I need this sweater in my life. I need this cardigan in my life. You could wear it like 2 different ways, upside down or right side up or upside down. It will make more sense when I show you the link to her Instagram. And her name is Kajarina Girl. She posted a short little reel, a little video of herself wearing her Ciorcal cardigan. And when I saw her wearing it, I was like, well, first of all, she's adorable. And second of all, when I saw it, I thought, wow, not only is it a great cardigan that you could, you know, throw on over jeans, you could wear it with like a pencil skirt and a nice camisole or something. It has a couple ways of wearing it, dressy or casual. And because you could literally turn it over and wear it upside down and have a completely different look, I was like, sold. I am totally making this. And it's made with Nutidin. And the design is like, I'm learning. So there's a couple things I'm learning here. One, I'm learning how to knit with Nutidin. So, as I mentioned before, Nutidin is a pre-yarn. I think last time I said it was spun. It's not spun. It's processed so that it's like a pencil roving that just stays together. I don't even know how it stays together in their process. But there's a learning curve to using it, let me tell you, because, pardon the crinkle. So we had one attempt at this cardigan that failed miserably. This is it. Okay, so I don't know if you can see, probably not super well, but it started off as a kind of an ovalish circle and it has a pretty big hole in the middle. That is a circular cast on. I think some people call it a pinhole cast on. And I think with yarn, actually, spun yarn, I think it would be fine because you can tug on it a little bit. You cannot do that with Nutidin. You tug on Nutidin and it's just gonna do this. I mean that's the gentlest, the lightest of touch, and it pulls apart like that. So you have to do your center circle, right? And then you have to knit into that circle and do yarn overs. And the Nutidin is not forgiving. And there are certain places, there are certain times you can actually spit join the fibers back together. I mean, you can almost even do it without a spit, quite honestly. You can kind of do this and get the fibers back together, kind of, sort of. But when you are on your cast on, your circular cast on, and you need to try and snug it tight so it closes up, you cannot do that with Nutidin. And so what happened is, so here is, and I've held it double. This is so thin right up close to where the hole is. If I were to try to pull that and like tighten up that hole, that center circle, it would pull right off and you couldn't join that again. I would literally, so what I did is I was like, well, screw this. That didn't work. That was a good lesson. That was like a practice on how to knit with Nutidin. So what I have learned from this is the circular cast on, the pinhole cast on, which is pretty cool. And if you're knitting something, like, it would be really cool maybe with a hat. If you want to do a top-down hat, it would be pretty cool. Or if you were just knitting a circular scarf or shawl, something like that. I don't do many shawls, but if you were to do a circular shawl, I could see where this would be very valuable. Need a sip of water. Stay hydrated, people. That was like basically my practice piece, I guess, to figure out how to work with Nutidin. So what I did was I wound, so the Nutidin comes in plates. I showed that to you last time. I wound 2 plates into 1 ball. So there are 2 strands. Can you see the 2 strands in there? So I wound 2 strands together into 1 ball. It is massive. This is 2 plates, and I've knitted up this much. This is 2 plates, and I don't know if when I have to join another 2 plates, because I doubt I'll be able to finish this with, I'm sure I'm going to need almost all the Nutidin that I bought. I have a feeling that, I don't know if I'm going to just pull it off the plates, like the 2 separate plates, and hold it together, or if I'm going to do this again. I'm liking this, but when one strand breaks and you have to join, then you end up with what you've wound already into a ball, like uneven. The 2 strands will be uneven. I don't know if I'm explaining that well. I may have to just pull from 2 separate plates. We shall see. Anyway, so what's interesting is this yarn looks different on the ball and in the plates than it does in the finished product. I don't know if you can really see that so well, but do you see how the ball looks more gray and light, yet in the finished product the color is more even. It looks more pink and a little darker, and I don't even know if the light is capturing it well, and right now it's almost like little beret size. But I did start knitting the center. So there's a center. You can see a little bit of a pinhole there, and I should be able to, it's just a little bit of a pinhole, and I should be able to grab the Nutidin close to the hole and just tug it just slightly. And I'm going to do it soon, actually, so this isn't flopping around and doesn't pull off. I'm going to probably weave this end in very soon. But this first part, I did a magic loop because it's just a small circle, and I couldn't get it on my needles as just something done in the round. But I finally got to the point where I was able to just do it circular knitting in the round, and it's going to get bigger. So the other thing aside from that little pinhole cast on that I had to learn, I also then had to learn how to handle the Nutidin when I'm knitting with it. And I'm a continental knitter, and so what I would do is like very super gently like pull off. I mean, you have to be super careful. Pull off like a length off the ball. And so I won't knit it right now because it's an increase round. But you have to just very like barely hold this and let it just kind of float across your hand. So your knitting gauge might be a little bit looser than normal because you can't hold this Nutidin snugly. Like normally I would do something like this and see how it goes between my fingers like that. And that provides the a little more tension that I like normally with yarns. I cannot do it with this. I have to just do this and just like allow extra slack and just let it very gently and barely just pass over my fingers. And I have to be really careful that I allow myself enough slack off of the ball so that it doesn't, I'm not suddenly tugging like you can with a regular ball of yarn. You can just go, oh yeah, I'll just pull off a little bit. No, you don't just pull off a little bit more yarn off of this. You very carefully unwrap it off of the ball. So there's some things to learn, but the bonus, the benefit of all this is that the finished fabric is really, really nice. Now, it's a rustic yarn, so if you were to wear this against your skin, it might be a little scratchy. I don't know, that time will tell. This is my first project done in Nutidin, but I think once I block it, and it's obviously non-superwash, this sucker will felt. I am going to have to be very gentle when I'm washing this. I will, and because it's not sitting close to my, because it's not going to be sitting next to my skin, hopefully it'll stay a little cleaner, so I won't have to wash it very frequently, and I'll probably do spot cleaning if it needs. If I like get a little, spill of coffee or something on it, I'll probably have to spot clean it. But I'm hoping that when I do wet block it, that it will soften up a little. Let me tell you, it is soft. This pre-yarn, it smells so good. It smells like a kid's teddy bear. That's the only description I have. Like a clean, brand spanking new teddy bear, by the way. It smells like a teddy bear. And now I've got fibers on my lip gloss. But it smells really good and it's super soft. It is so soft. I mean, it's like pillow soft. It's so soft. And then in the knitting, but it is rustic, right? So it's could be a little bit scratchy. And then in the knitted fabric, it's also very soft. So I don't know. We'll see how it blocks up. I don't really know what it's going to be like when it blocks up. But so far, I'm very happy with it. It was a little frustrating in the beginning when the yarns were breaking, and I was having in that first little sample that I did, but now that I've got the feel for how I need to knit with it, I'm enjoying it. When it gets thin, I get like you'll be knitting along, and it's almost like a boucle in that, and it's not a boucle, but it's almost like that in that you have thick and thin areas. When I get to a thin section, I'm like panicking, like I have to be super, like it's like this yarn is just like bare right where my tip of my thumb is. It's like just barely held together. So when I have to knit that, I'm going to be like super delicate when I'm knitting it and not tugging on it at all. But I'm enjoying it, and from what I understand, it makes a very, even though it's so fragile of a pre-yarn, of a fiber, really, of a roving, it makes for very durable fabric. So this feels like a normal sweater. There's nothing delicate about this. I should be able to wear this just fine without worrying about it. So the work in progress that I've got going right now that I'm really like, it's taking up all my time right now. I wish actually if it was a little smaller I could take it to work and knit it, but it's a little too big for my purse. So what I love about these pouches is that it fits right in my purse and keeps my knitting separate from everything else in there. And I've actually started using those little, like I have everything in those little pouches in my purse now. So I have like all my lip gloss and lipsticks and like stuff like that in its own little pouch. And then I have my knitting in its little pouch, and I have my crochet in its little pouch, and I can easily pull the pouches out. Like, it actually works pretty well. I'm liking this. I am thinking about knitting some like summer tees and maybe some, I'm not really a tank top wearer, so I'm not sure if I'll knit any tanks. If I do, it'll have a wider strap so that I can wear, you know, just normal bra under it. And so I'm thinking I'm gonna make some things knitted out of maybe linen or bamboo, cotton maybe. I do like the mercerized cotton because it's a little smoother, it's a little easier to work with rather than like your dishcloth cotton. But I'm not really sure. I'm really kind of thinking of tossing that around right now. I've been watching some podcasters who've been knitting some summer weight things in plant-based yarns, and I'll talk about one in a minute. And I have been following a bunch of people on Instagram who have been starting to do their spring and summer knits, and they're doing some tees and tanks and things like that. So I'm kind of thinking about knitting something like that. And I did promise my husband a sweater before the weather gets hot and then comes back to cold. So I got to think about that too. Let's see. Podcasts I'm enjoying. I think every episode I pretty much talk about a couple different podcasts, maybe different ones from episodes in the past. So if any of these are being repeated, I apologize. So some of the ones I'm loving right now are Kutovakika. I think she calls herself Kika. I think that's her nickname. She is, right now she's living in Finland, I believe, but I think she might be Norwegian. Don't quote me on that. Maybe Swedish. She's Scandinavian, and she's got the most adorable personality. Her videos she is clearly a creative person with a lot of talent when it comes to video, photography, knitting, and being on camera. And her personality is just so cute and lighthearted and fun, and you will really enjoy watching her. She is just like a breath of fresh air and so light, and her podcasts her YouTube videos are very well produced. They're not overproduced, they're not super raw, they're not amateur, they're kind of somewhere in between. She leans more towards the very, very, very well produced, like professionally produced videos, but there's enough authenticity with her that you really get a feel for who she is. It's not like an actress. Really, really enjoy her YouTube videos. Then there's Arena, who has FiberChats. If you have not caught FiberChats yet, and I think I've mentioned that one before, if you haven't caught her podcast, her YouTube videos yet, she has a whole series. I think she sometimes posts like multiples in a day, but I feel like it's at least one a day. I don't know how she has time for all this, because she also knits Shetland lace, which is very much requires your attention. And she's a very prolific knitter, and especially with Shetland lace. Shawls specifically, she does a lot of. But her channel is all about interviews, and she interviews designers, yarn designers, pattern designers, makers of various types. I think she might have had a quilter on a couple times. She's had dyers on, and her interview style is superb. When I watch her, I wish that the people she was interviewing would just clam up because she asks the best questions. You get people on who are super, super chatty, and it's less enjoyable than when they let her lead them in her questions. But she has an exceptional style when it comes to interviewing, and she's like a natural when it comes to interviewing. So well done. And she just interviewed Stephen West. Now, I'm not a fan of Stephen West's designs. They're just not my thing. Although some of them, if they're done in all one tone, I think might be really nice for me, but I'm just not a fan. I don't know, I guess his style is just not my style, but I have huge, mad appreciation for his color sense and his ability to design what he designs, because they're amazing, his designs. Not my style, but totally amazing. And he, in his interviews with Arena, I've seen him in his Instagram posts and in some videos and things like that. He just comes across so well in this video. You really get a sense of who he is as a person, as much as a designer, but also as a person, and I adore him. He is just an amazing person, and like somebody I just want to know. And her interview was just so well done. And Arena, you do a great job. If you're watching, you do a great job. Knitting Traditions, I know I've mentioned this before. Inga, who is Knitting Traditions, all one word, on YouTube. She's a super prolific knitter as well. She is an OBGYN, and she's currently in Norway. She's Norwegian as well. And I think probably, you know, when you're waiting for babies to be born, you have a little bit of time at 2 o'clock in the morning to get some knitting done. So she is a very prolific knitter, and I just love her designs, and I love, not her designs, I love to see what she's been knitting and get some ideas from her. Mandarines, which is Melody Hoffman, is another one I love. She has the most soothing, relaxing videos. Like, I could watch them for hours. And her designs are just stunning. Here's a new one for me. Tales from Cuckoo Land. How did I not know this one existed? Okay, it's fun. Gaina is funny. She is super real. She's a sewist, I guess is what we call it now. She's a knitter. She's a gardener, and always shares something of her family, a little bit of her family. And I absolutely, I'm going to be binge watching every episode because I absolutely love her YouTube videos. You have to go check out Tales from Cuckoo Land. She is in the UK. Her videos are amazing. And her aesthetic is just beautiful. And then the last one I have is We Grow Wild, and that's Martina. She is in Italy, and her videos, some of them are knitting, and she also forages. She's also the daughter of a photographer, a professional photographer, an artist, and she definitely has those same skills, and her videos are beautiful. Her very calm and relaxing style in what she's presenting is very soothing to watch and listen to. And I just love the projects that she knits, and I'm interested in the foraging she's done, and some of the other things she has in her videos. I really am enjoying it. And then lastly, comment down below if you're interested at all in sailing, because that is a new passion of mine and one that I hope to eventually do full time. And there are quite a few sailing YouTube channels that I watch that I would love to share with you guys, but only if you're interested. The one that right now I'm really enjoying is Sailing Yacht Florence, and that's Matt and Amy, and they're from the UK, and they are circumnavigating the earth right now on their sailboat. Theirs is a monohull, and they are just a young couple who are very real in their videos, and I really enjoy watching them. Okay, now this video is going to be super long. There's going to be a lot of editing here. So let's talk now about glasses. So we're off the knitting content now. If you're here for the knitting, see you later. I'll catch you for the next one. We're going to talk about a couple other little things, and then we're going to check out the chickens and sign off. So I think I mentioned in a previous episode that I was having some issues with my eyes, and I was afraid I was going to have to give up knitting or any kind of close work. And honestly, cell phones are part of the problem too. But when you're holding things like this far from your face and you're scrolling and it's a screen and all that, that takes a toll on your eyes, especially as you get older. Everything is less elastic as you get older. Your skin, apparently your corneas are less elastic. And so you don't usually see this because I can't see my screen if I have my glasses on, but I pretty much wear glasses all the time, and they're a little dirty. But here's my daily glasses. So these are progressives, and so they're distance up here, and they go gradually down to my close up here, and there's some middle distance in there, but I have to like tip my head back like this to see the middle distance where you are, and I'm not gonna do that. I can actually see you just fine without my glasses on. Wow, they're dirty. So these are my regular glasses. So what was happening was, as I'm knitting, you know, fairly close up like this, I have to look at my work to knit. I have tried not looking at my work. I can only do that on larger gauge yarn like worsted weight or Aran or bulky. They're pretty, and I definitely not with the Newton. But what was happening was, because I have to look at my knitting, and I do a lot of socks, which are small, you know, fingering weight, small gauge. And so what was happening was I would be looking down for long stretches at my knitting. Like, I mean, I sometimes can knit for hours, and I would be looking for long stretches at my knitting, and I would glance up and realize, and this was with my regular progressives on, and I would glance up and realize, oh, my distance vision is blurry. And I would like rub my eyes, and then I would take my glasses off, put my glasses on, and it wasn't clearing, and it would take like 20 minutes for my vision to come back. Sometimes it was so bad I would have done enough close work for long enough that I would, like if it's the evening, I would just have to go to bed and be like, okay, I hope it's clear in the morning. And there was one morning where I woke up and it was still slightly blurry. So scared, went to the eye doctor. I go every year anyway, but I went to the eye doctor. It was time for my next visit a few weeks ago, and I told him what was happening, and he's like, it was like no big deal. He said, your corneas are in spasm. That's a thing. My corneas go into spasm because of all the close work. So his solution, and this is like where you go from digital to analog, where you go from new technology to old school. So what he did, and he's seen success with other people who do like woodworking and things like that, he's prescribed me something he calls hobby glasses, as in close hobbies, as in, you know, hobbies. And okay, so what these are is, I'll put them on. These are like grandma's bifocals, legit. These are old school, like 1960s, 1970s bifocals that your grandma used to wear. That's what these are. Can you see down here? So what they are is all distance vision here at the top and around on the sides. It's all distance vision. And then the bifocal is all close, and it's set for, I tend to hold my knitting between 10 and 12 inches from my face when I'm knitting. I hold it fairly close. And these are literally, the magnification part is set just for how I knit. So the idea being that I don't have all that, with the progressives, you have all those middle ground, you know, it goes gradually from distance down to the close. And so your eyes are constantly having to adjust to whatever part of the glasses you're looking through. With these, I only use the bifocal part for the knitting, and then I can glance up and look at the TV or around or whatever and use the distance part. So these are only for when I'm knitting and doing close work. I've tried like using them at work, and they don't work, because when I'm like writing, it's a little bit further, well, obviously it's on the desk, it's a little further away. So my progressives work great for at work, but these literally are just for when I'm knitting. So can you see? Let's see. Yeah, there you go. You can see the bifocal part. Do you see it like just next to my ear there? You can see the bifocal. So these are just progressives. You don't see any, I mean, you can see it distorting my face, but you don't see any lines or anything, right? So you can see they've got magnification in them. But these have that line. They've got the old school bifocal in them. And jewelry is still out. So I have been wearing them for, I think, 2 weeks now. And I have noticed if I'm doing a lot of close work, I do sometimes still have a little bit of a distance vision blurriness. So it's probably something that's going to have to be tweaked, and I probably just need to take more breaks from my knitting and not sit there and knit for hours at a stretch. I mean, it really can happen within about a half hour of knitting if I sit there for a half hour. And one of the things you can do to avoid it too is just glance up from your close work, and like maybe I could watch TV or something and just watch TV for a few minutes and not knit, and which is hard because it's all I want to do. But that would also actually prevent my corneas from going in spasm. So if you are experiencing a similar problem, talk to your eye doctor, especially if you are similar in age. And I'm 56, by the way. Talk to your eye doctor, and perhaps a pair of hobby glasses will help you too if you're experiencing the same kind of things. So, glasses. Okay, so what I'm hoping to do is improve the experience you have watching this vlog. And I like this setup because the light is good, but I do realize that it gets fairly boring when people stay in one place every time. So I'm gonna try and mix up the locations where I film from. I'm not sure yet where in my house that would be, because this is really the best room with the best light in the house, but I may have to mix it up a little bit just to make it a little more interesting. I know that when I'm watching videos, it's more interesting when not when somebody's sitting there talking to a screen like this, but when you have scenes changing and things like that. So that's definitely on the horizon. I've just ordered a small tripod for myself that is bendable and that I can attach, you know, maybe to a table or a cabinet door or something, you know, to try. It's amazing the things you have to do to get good video. You have no idea unless you've done them. Like, you don't know the things, what it looks like around here that it normally does not look like. And where you are right now, how my setup is. So I do understand that it's better when you have different things happening and it's not just somebody, a talking head sitting talking at a screen. The other thing is music. So I have just upgraded my music. You will have noticed it in this video. I have a new subscription, a new, so on YouTube, you cannot use just like music you from your favorite artists and musicians that you get on Spotify or whatever. You can't do that. They're copyright protected, there's royalties involved, and YouTube actually will, in some cases, not allow you to post a video if it's got copyrighted material in it. So what I've done is subscribe to this service called Epidemic Sound, and they don't sponsor me or anything like that. You're welcome to if you want, just saying. But Epidemic Sound has a library, a catalog of royalty-free music. So I believe it's still copyrighted because it is professional artists who make this music, but it's royalty-free. So I, through my subscription, have permission to use it specifically in my social media and on YouTube. I do not have the commercial account, I have the personal account, so I couldn't use it, say, to make a commercial or to make a, you know, something, a production that would be, someone would pay to see or would be to sell a product. So I have the personal version. But I wanted to get away from just the Apple. So I use, and I record on my iPhone, and I use iMovie to edit my videos. On my iPad, I don't have a Mac, so I don't have the full iMovie version, so I'm a little limited in what I'm able to do. Someday I hope to have a Mac so that I can do a lot more editing, a lot more professional editing. But for right now, at least adding the better music, because I am limited to what iMovie has as available music to put in as soundtracks. And that's the other thing, I'm limited as far as how I can add the music and where it starts and stops and fading and all that. It's very limited on my version of iMovie, but I wanted just a better selection of music. It's pretty limited, and you'll probably have noticed a lot of people who have YouTube channels, when they add music, a lot of times you can notice, like you'll hear that same piece of music in different people's YouTube videos, And so what this does, it also gives me a larger catalog to pull from, different kinds of music, more I don't know, more what you would consider maybe not popular music, but you know, music that is less homogenized, I guess. So it should give you a better experience, and it should make it more pleasurable for me when I am editing videos to have this nice library of music that I can pull from. So there's that. I'll be putting in some video of the chickens. Everything's going great. It is, like I said, mid-April now, and spring has sprung. The hens are laying like crazy. I'm getting like 9 eggs a day. I have 13 hens and I'm getting like 9 eggs a day. 2 of them are older hens. They're my Americanas, and one typically lays blue eggs. The other lays like a cream colored, and her egg is like long. It's like a long oval, but they've both stopped laying. So neither of those hens gives me eggs anymore. I think I might maybe this year get 1 or 2 eggs, you know, maybe through the whole season from Liz, the blue egg layer. But I think they're pretty much done. So I really only have 11 that are laying right now. And I'm getting 9 eggs a day, and well, I'll get like 9 eggs, and then the next day I'll get anywhere from 3 to 5. So they usually lay every 26 hours is about when they lay eggs, sorta, kinda. That's like as a general rule. And so like one day I'll get an abundance of eggs, and the next day I'll get a little bit less. And so, but for the most part, I'm getting about between 5 and 9 eggs a day, alternating 9 eggs one day and, you know, 5 or so the next day. So they're in full production mode. Here's the thing. Remember I said how we're in the middle of having trying to get a variance to put our addition on our house? Well, in this process, the county has said to us, we need to tear our chicken coop down. Now, our chicken coop is like at least 75 years old. I'm aware of, because the previous owners, they told us, they grew up in this house as small children, and that coop was there. And so that coop is at least 75 years old. My gut actually says it's maybe 115 years old, maybe. Not really sure yet exactly how old it is. It encroaches on 2 properties. So the one right behind us in the back, you could actually see the coop. There's the coop right there. That little red building with the slanted roof, that's the coop. That's the back of the property, and there's a pasture back there. And it could be developed someday. Right now it's a pasture, but that's owned by a commercial entity owns that property. That coop is 3 feet onto their property. And then on this side, this is the north side of right? No, that's the south side. On the shorter side, that's the north side. On the north side, our next door neighbor, it encroaches 3 feet onto his property. And because of real estate laws being what they are, like the neighbors have never complained, and it's in the open, it's not hidden. It is something that's been accepted for at least 75 years as them being there, and nobody's complained, nobody's asked for it to be moved, but because it encroaches on those 2 properties, in order to get the variance to do our addition, the county is saying, you have to tear the coop down. And if you want to keep the coop, which we can, we have to build it in the middle of the backyard, the back section of the backyard. So that's kind of making me do a little reevaluation as to what the future of the chickens here on this property look like. I still want my hens. That coop is really big. It's like 14 feet by 14 feet. It's a big coop. It easily holds the 13 hens that I have. And it has an area that they don't even have access to, where I can access the nests inside. store feed and store scratch, and it has an area where I keep youngsters when I have hens or chickens as soon as they're ready to go outside, when they're big enough to go outside and be in the coop and be introduced to the other hens. I have an area, a pen set aside just for them in there. So it's a very large coop, and in order to, we probably wouldn't, we wouldn't, it's not something we could easily move. It's old. It's well built, but it's old. It's probably not worth, just because the wood is very old and dried out, it's probably not worth trying to actually remove it, separate it from the foundation it sits on, which is like a concrete foundation with sides and everything, a floor and sides. It's probably not worth trying to move it, so we'll demolish it. If any parts are actually usable and not too dried out, and wood that we can use for the new one, if we decide to build a new one, then we'll use what we can, or we'll just build one right from scratch and scrap all that, or not have it at all, which is not really what I want to do. So that's a bit of a dilemma. Not really sure what that's going to look like, and none of that will happen until we are doing the addition, because it'll be, you know, if we're going to be doing an addition on the house and already have equipment here and people here and laborers and all that, you know, it would happen then. But we'd have to have a plan in place, probably even have to just build one from scratch and then demolish the one they're in now. So I don't know what's going to happen. I just don't know. But it can't stay where it is. It can't stay where it is and get the variance. So yeah, that's disappointing. Literally one of the reasons we bought this house was because of the chicken coop. Like, you can see my house. I have a nice house. It's an old house, then we've renovated it. But that was a big selling feature for me, was the chicken coop. So I don't know what's going to happen. Stay tuned. I'm sure I'll be talking about it. Anyway, this has gone on for a really long time, and it's going to get the crap edited out of it so that I can shorten it. But I want to thank you for sticking with me and watching. If you stayed all the way to the end, man, 5 gold stars for you. Yay. Thank you. Thank you for watching. I will catch you probably in 4 weeks. I am going to be traveling a little bit here in the next coming weeks, and so hopefully I'll have a little bit of video from that. It is for fun. It's not for business. Anyway, thank you so much for sticking with me. I really appreciate you. If you're still here, again, thank you, and I'll see you in a few weeks. Bye.